be able to really pull off the bald, you got to lean into and really be the bald. Not just anyone can shave off their head and suddenly pull it off.
You're listening to the AVIT Amplifier. Each week, we'll feature voices and ideas that need to be amplified in the higher education and pro-AV IT communities. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. And now here's your host, Ryan Gray.
Well, hello, everybody. We are back again for week 2 with your friend and my friend, Mr. Chris Kelly. This is the AVIT Amplifier, and let this be the next kickoff of a good, consistent run of Wednesdays with new content coming your way. So, Chris, thank you for coming back for week 2, the infamous week 2 on this show. Would you please briefly remind everybody, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I am Chris Kelly. I'm a senior AVIT, senior IT support specialist here at Creighton University in Omaha. I'm also the advisory board chair with HETMA and recently the managing editor for Higher Ed AV Media. And while I am very excited that my feed will be refreshed on Wednesdays, and I'll listen to my own episode just to make sure that we get listens on it. But I'm always ready for the new Ryan Gray content.
So as managing editor, do you see it as your role to, really crack down on contributors who are not meeting their stated goals for standard publication of content?
There are some people that are locked in cells right now, and they'll be let out once their articles are done, and that's okay.
There you go. Very good answer.
We are a volunteer organization, and I appreciate every single person that is willing to put in the effort to contribute content. I will do my parts because we are also in an industry where neurodivergence is a very prevalent factor, and whatever flavor that is for anyone, it might be that someone is the type that procrastinating helps them feel like they're doing their best work. And so helping give a reminder when it's close to the due date is of benefit. Or it might be someone that just giving them a reminder a week out helps them just remember to start working on that content that they need to have coming out. My reminders are never intended to feel like a crack of a whip or anything like that. I intend to be a much more encouraging and supportive presence for all of our content providers.
Wow, that was just perfect. I you know what I'm saying? Off the top of your head, you should go into marketing. That was great. No, I don't feel attacked. I'm just saying, this show has not been, as I've been talking about how important consistency is, this show has not been one that has been a stellar example of that since about October. So, I just want to make sure I'm not in too much trouble here. But, I know that I am appreciative that, your help will be one reason that hopefully we'll get to a little more consistency. And I appreciate your understanding for team ADHD out there who thrives under, whose best work gets done under the last minute pressure. And whatever it takes to float something to the, oh my God, right now bucket, you know what I'm saying, is much appreciated. So thank you for that.
Many people feel like that's when the best work is done, is when it's I got 5 minutes, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to get to some of my more regular questions, but it goes to a little what we've talked about and what you mentioned there, which would be if you had to evaluate your neurodivergence and my neurodivergence in terms of creating an effective team, how would you diagnose or advise somebody on that front?
Tossing it out there that while I do have a master's in counseling and school counseling, and I'm not officially diagnosing anyone or myself, whatever, I feel that we have tendencies that help offset each other to a certain extent. I can be more type A, more planning things. I may be the first person that started planning their own roadshow more than a year in advance. That I am forms and spreadsheets and data and all the things more on that side of things, and clear cut, nice, knowing exactly what the guidelines and the rules are, and being done with things far in advance. And that's just more my type. And that's not the type for everyone, Mr. Ryan Gray.
Would you say your experience working with me on endeavors that your experience has been that I work similarly to that, or
not similarly, more complementarily? Complementarily, that's the word that I'll go with. You can help balance out some of my tendencies, and you have your amazing ideas, your amazing energy, your amazing connections with people, and your ability to quickly pivot and make things happen in an instant's notice. How's that for compliments?
Well, that's very kind. I appreciate that. But yeah, at this stage of life and career, I've really there's a place and time where the vision or the dream team would feel like, a group of like people, because you're like, oh, things will be so smooth and there'll be this shorthand. And I remember having that thought younger, right? And then having that fall flat on its face because, building a group of people that are like yourself they carry your same blind spots and your same weaknesses. To the flip side, building teams that have a lot of differences in them, you can cover each other's weaknesses, but you got to deal with the frustrations, then friction that can come from that. So I love, just as a side note, because this is an AV podcast, how this camera has hand gestures that change what it does. And I wasn't even doing one there, and it just triggered that thing. You know what I'm saying? So maybe not so much with the hand gesture control.
Maybe be a problem for hand talkers.
Yeah.
Loser?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I appreciate
to do Zoom, you have to flash loser at the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. I'm going to use the technology that we've put out there for other people to use. I'm going to have the same experience as them. So, but I think, both, your emotional intelligence and wisdom, but I think also, whether it be in higher ed or in the workplace in general, sort of the attention that's now paid to differences of personality type, helping people understand differences of personality type and have strategies to, be able to make teams that are high achieving because of the differences rather than in spite of them is, it's exciting for me. I think that's kind of cool. So thank you for doing it with me. Appreciate it.
Couldn't be here without you.
There you go. That's pretty good. And you're right. The little delay, it does feel like we're doing this on the SAT, the old SAT connections that, you're off on you're over in Korea or something.
Yeah, more mindful of trying not to talk over each other when there might be just a smidgen of delay there.
When have we worried about stuff like that? It's not that professional of an organization. What are you going to do? So,
we do it live. Right. That's the way we got it.
We do it live. Okay, so one other thing. We were talking in the first episode quickly about a slogan or a tagline for Hired AV Media, and you mentioned jingle. And I went like, oh my God, yes, we need a jingle. So would you please invent and sing the Hired AV Media jingle now? 3, 2, 1, go. Oh,
I got nothing.
He does not succumb to the peer pressure.
I can refuse the peer pressure, and especially if it's about singing a jingle that I'm just making up on the spot. There is not enough liquid courage in me for that kind of thing at the moment. Now,
well, that's why
Infocom on Tuesday night around 11 p.m. or something, that might be a different story.
Well, that's so Stephen King famously said, that you're supposed to write drunk and then edit sober, right? Which is drop your inhibitions and be creative, let it go. And then in the cold, sober light of day, edit that stuff down. So I think you're right. I think we need to really, if it comes to something like a jingle, man, we got to get everyone's collective, creativity going and see what we can come up with.
And that might be
I feel like something with a barbershop quartet would be interesting,
The Three Joes Quartet.
Yeah. See, that was one of those things there where we were definitely talking over each other and it didn't, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Technology is so unreliable, I swear. I don't know.
just
who
need to
puts
find
this
one more
stuff
person
in,
that
but-
looks like Joe, and it could be the Three Joes quartet.
Actually, that's not a bad idea because there's no shortage of people like that in our industry. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that that look like that. Okay. Let me greet you a couple of standard questions because you got some good ones last time you were here, but I've got some that are more of my seldom used ones that I'd like to kind of run down with you. So here's one that I'm kind of interested in, which is if you for a Halloween costume or you're going to a costume party, right? And budget is no object. You can have expert of any type. What is your dream like cosplay or dress up costume you'd like to have?
Ryan. Ryan. I'm not a costume person. I'm no fun like that. My brain immediately jumps to, at worst, just taping a bunch of money on me, since money is no object, and that way at least once it's done I can collect the money and have it for my own keeping.
How practical, right? You figured out a way to turn a creative exercise into an operationally sound decision-making process. It's why waste the money on a costume? I could monetize it and then use those resources to achieve something else.
Or pull up in a very expensive car that I can sell afterward.
There you go. Okay, well then if, let's say you dressed up as the money human and you collected that money and then, like you said, or drive up in a car and you collect it, what would you use the money for?
More trips. I got to keep working on my bucket list for all the state high points. You know,
all right.
Before Infocom, I'm coming down your way and I'll climb the highest in Arizona on that Thursday before I come to a tour of your campus.
Have you added any state high points to your list?
Yes, I don't think I had done this past summer. I did a trip where I went up and did Nebraska's, which is boring. Kansas, which is boring.
Just climbing a tree somewhere? Is that Nebraska's high point?
Not even it's a field. Just basically a field. Same with Kansas. But I did Colorado and New Mexico's in back-to-back days, which, you know, Colorado's is the second highest in the contiguous United States, around 14,400. And New Mexico's is not quite 14,000, but also a good ways up there. So, yeah, those were big. And then I did Oklahoma's, which is, you know, not terribly large, but it, you know, takes a handful of hours to do. So, yeah, those were exciting.
Yeah. No, those are big ones.
First time climbing. You know. Sorry, it was my first time climbing over 14,000 feet, which definitely takes a toll on your oxygen levels.
Like the Colorado, that's not messing around. You know what I'm saying? They're famous for those, and that's awesome. And I think people don't always think of New Mexico or even Arizona as places that have mountains, but New Mexico has some tall mountains, right? The Mountain West is the Mountain West for a reason. So back-to-back days, that's a bold decision, sir.
Yep, with a tent sleeping night in between the two of them. Yeah, because Wheeler Peak, it's like, I can't remember exactly what it is. I won't even try and guess. But yeah, both of them were very long, pretty strenuous days.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty cool thing. And then, Arizona is Humphreys, right? Is what it's called.
Humphrey Peak. Yep. Up in the San Francisco range. That's the name of it, right? Right near your back door, or not too far from you.
Yeah. Up by Flagstaff. And parts of the roads here, when it's going the right way, you can see it in the distance. So that's exciting. And very excited to, people to come visit Yavapai College. I'll throw that open invitation out there to come. You want to see the premier community college in the nation, come visit.
But, you're expanding beyond the normal concept of a community college. I mean, you don't just have 2-year degrees, right?
Who's to say what the normal concept of anything in higher ed is anymore? You know what I'm saying? Like, the old school normal concepts are getting harder and harder, I think, to stand by in terms of service. So, yeah, we could totally sidebar. I love to do a whole show on that sort of thing, because I think there's a lot to talk about there. So, and then for anybody listening or watching, Yeah, that would be a good gray matter moment. So, Chris, what is the best gift you've ever gotten? And for the record, this delay isn't the delay.
I
It's him
have
thinking.
no idea. This was one of those live delays. I am not sure. I really don't know. At my core, again, one of those fun-hating people. I'm not a fan of the idea of gifts. Like, I would go into any holiday and say, let's just not do it. The whole idea of, I have to spend X amount, you have to spend X amount, then we're wondering if it's a, like amount that was spent, and hoping that the valuation of what was obtained was worth the amount that was spent. And it's a thing that I struggle with. I do, admittedly. Not that I don't appreciate gifts, but it's just a complicated concept.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's a reasonable thing. A lot of people feel that pressure now, where like the level of what gifts are is an obligation, and there's a calculation to it, and it sort of loses the just general idea of being able to do something like that. So yeah, everyone be open to gifts that maybe don't have to worry. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be for something. It doesn't have to be too thought out. Sometimes it's just, here's something that came across my mind. I thought it might work. So keep that in mind. And you do remind me. I love my my wife's sisters and their group. There used to be that, like, the annual Christmas gift card exchange, where everyone was giving gift cards to everyone else's kids, and then they did the same thing. We were just like, okay, so we'll just call it even, and then we'll all get something for our kids for the yeah, great, done. And it works for them. They communicate about it, and it's great. So don't create an imperative where one doesn't exist is something that a wise person will.
If you enjoy it, do it. But to have it as a social expectation is,
difficult. Okay, so in the movie of your life, what actor plays Chris Kelly?
Joe Way.
I'm sorry, we're going to need an above the line name. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be the audience draw I think we're looking for here. So while I appreciate that thought, we're going to need, the studio really wants something that can maybe draw people in.
I was trying to think through bald, beautiful actors, like a Sean Connery or something. You got to lean into and really be the bald, not just anyone can shave off their head and suddenly pull it off.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You need someone authentically bald, not playing bald.
Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah, someone that suffers from the impediment.
Yes. So what are the markers to you of somebody who is playing bald versus actually bald? How can you tell?
God, the horrible example that just came into my head was Tropic Thunder. Different leaning there, but
yeah.
You never go full bald. Anyway.
Just FYI, if anybody wants to know how you determine what the title of an episode was going to be, that just happened there. Because you never go full bald with Chris Kelly. Mwah. Done. Perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so so is there God, I'm going to steal that and use it. That was great. Do you feel like it's so I wouldn't say, like, do you feel like the bald as a group, but I even feel like that's almost a weird thing to say, but do you feel like the bald carry a shame or more of a pride in their baldness?
It is a pride. There is a pride in being bald, being able to pull off bald, maybe having no other choice but being bald. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of pride.
Nice. So there is a radical acceptance part to it, right? That you have to accept the bald and then embrace it and then live it to its fullest.
At a certain point, for many that are bald, your hair has given up on you. So what remained of it, yes, you're giving up on in turn. It's sort of I'm punishing the rest of you for the failures of what was left.
That's awesome. Well, as a future bald, as an aspiring bald, right? I do appreciate the advice, because, you know what I'm saying? The day is coming where you just have to decide that, that is what is going on. And I think I probably said it on you could tell me if I've said it on this show before. I imagine I have, but the COVID era of moving to Zoom was the greatest thing that ever happened to my baldness, because you can very strategically place a camera where it continues to look like whatever amount of hair you see continues all the way around, whether it does or not. And the worst thing for me is the classroom, like instructor camera, if it's mounted above the teaching station looking out, because that angle is not nobody should have to be subjected to that. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for
why we did that to
helping
instructors
curb
is
my
just beyond
anxiety
me.
about future baldness.
Yeah, why we did that to instructors is beyond me. It seems like a horrible joke we played on them.
Yeah, doesn't it though? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't it though? It's, you know, we're not that worried about that. Put the camera where it needs to be, and you know, we all look like what we look like, I guess. So I don't know about that. Okay, so if that is so you need an actor that is genuinely bald. What is the title of the movie of your life?
I'm not sure. Improv is not necessarily my thing, especially without the liquid courage, and to not come across as too big for my britches, to pull back a phrase.
Okay, the answers to the questions
Don't be
not
a hand
have
talker.
to be the actual answer in order to be interesting, right? Because what you're saying there is, I'm not good at the improv. I don't want to say, and then the first thing you say is, I don't want to come off as too big for my britches. So why is that your main concern in doing it? Why is, I don't want to answer that question because I'm worried about what other people might perceive about my answer, and they might think I think too much of myself.
So here's a little touch of my neurodivergence as opposed to yours that my wife knows all too well. I like to overanalyze most of what I'm saying. And the concept of an incorrect answer when thought out to the nth degree is bothersome to me. So to try and give an answer that I know might not be correct upon further thought is like something short of painful. So to have to like worry that this answer that I'm giving would change where I had more time to be more introspective, if it's not something that's just more for comedic relief, which granted this somewhat is, but so the idea that I might say something that doesn't seem as introspective, insightful, and beneficial as it otherwise could is challenging.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that is true for a lot of people. And I can tell you, as doing podcasts and interviewing people, there is a lot of anxiety that people have about, I want to give me the questions in advance because I want to think through, I want to go down that road. I need to curb and understand that. And again, it's the difference in me and at that to go, yeah, but then I don't want you to have thought about it. First thought, best thought. You know what I'm saying? Be real, man. Be real. But that idea that is your real. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is your way of being real and authentic, and it's different is okay. That is very welcome. That idea of taking time on something does not mean it becomes less true. There's sometimes that feeling of like, oh, well, that means it's going to be polished or you know what I'm saying? It only matters your commitment to what you want to prepare, versus just because there's more time and effort into it doesn't mean it's not authentic. Would you agree?
I would agree. You can be authentic and planful.
Authentic? Hey, you know what I'm saying? That's not bad. Authentic and planful. That could be the name of your like white guy rap club or rap group, or if you ever put together a band, you'd be like, we're authentic and thoughtful. Or planful. I like that. Authentic and planful. Or how about this? Hire at AV Media, authentic and planful.
As opposed to fun and flashy?
Yeah, as opposed to poorly thought out and off the cuff. You know what I'm saying? But it goes back to what we were talking about before. You need both. You know what I'm saying? You got to have both. Yeah. I think there's a great value in thoughtful and planfulness, and I think there's great value in spontaneity. And you know what I'm saying? valuing both of those together is like I said, the older I get, the more excited I am about things about what can be done with people who are genuinely different. You know what I'm saying? That can work together. So, all right. Normally, you would get the last same 3 questions, and like we said, usually third to last is what is a question you wish you were asked, but nobody ever asks you. And so, as a listener to every show of this, and knowing that I have done year-end compilations of the answers to that question, is there an answer that somebody gave to that question that you remember that stuck with you or was surprising in some way?
It's always interesting, as you tend to comment, that so many people say the same one, that a lot of people want to be asked how they're doing and have it actually meant. I think that that's very indicative of a lot of things. And we're all guilty of the same thing. Like, how are you doing? And I hope that I would respond well if someone actually told me how they were doing. But, you expect the same platitudes. You expect the okays. You expect the whatever in that situation. So that's always a good thing. Or, what do you want to do? And have someone actually tell you what they actually want to do instead of some socially acceptable and socially expected answer to the thing. Mm-hmm. So much of our interactions are crafted and written by social expectations. So, yeah, just being, true to yourself and actually caring about any question you ask or caring about what anyone says to a question that you ask them.
Absolutely. In a world, like you said, that's well-trod ground on the show. But I think it comes up and over because it's real, and it's on both sides, which is, it is hard to actually ask the question wanting the true answer. And it's very difficult to answer that question, in a real way. There's vulnerability on both sides of that. So, and
I've asked you that question. I've asked you that question and meant it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, and I would say you are definitely a person that, when you ask that, you want to know, and in general, the questions you ask are as authentic and planful as things you might say, right? Let's throw it out there and toss it around and figure it out on the fly. You know what I'm saying? Let's take an idea, bounce it around. And I think so when you come with a specific question or something like that, it carries that weight of having been well considered. So I appreciate that.
And I appreciate yours as well.
All right. Second to last question is, if people wanted to get in touch with you, learn more about you, about Hired AV Media, or all the various many things you're involved in, including perhaps the road show in Omaha, Nebraska, taking place at your campus this summer, how would they go about doing that?
Yes. So I'm getting myself out there in a few different ways. We actually just had someone interview for a position here, and they had mentioned having seen some of my media on Hired AV Media, and that was the only way that they knew anything about me. I've got a variety of article series that I either edit or write in conjunction with other people on Hired AV Media, and we try to have content out basically every day, whether it's podcasts and or articles. There's always new things happening there. And fortunately, we're pretty good at posting to the socials as well when any of those drop. So as long as you're, ideally you're checking Hired AV Media every day, but also be tracking and following along with HETMA's LinkedIn, HETMA's spot on Facebook, Instagram, and X. We post just about anything that we post on our website. We're also tagging in there as well so that people can be informed when those things come out. I have my email address, obviously, content@higheradav.com or content@hetma.org. I'm also on LinkedIn as a nice, easy way to get a hold of me. And any of those would get you right to me. And I encourage people to reach out with anything, whether they want to try and know about how to get involved on the site, whether they just want to know about something that I'm doing in my work. I had my campus spotlight on Creighton not that long ago, or as you mentioned, I've got my HETMA Road Show here at Omaha at Creighton coming up on July 9th. So there's a lot of things that people can find out if people just kind of reach out and ask.
And I encourage everybody to do everything that he just said. But yeah, fire him an email. You know what I'm saying? Even if it is just to ask him how he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody fire Chris Kelly an email. He somehow lives in a vortex where there's more hours in the day than everybody else gets. So, you know what I'm saying? That's you're not imposing on him, I promise.
Which reminds me, you not that long ago had someone from your esteemed college on one of your episodes that said that the first person that called into them, they would be given an award. And I heard that episode and I called, and I was actually the first person that called them. I was a little disappointed that I was the first person, but I thought that them telling you that might give you a good laugh to help show
it.
That
so that's funny. I forgot because yes, Thomas did tell me I got the call and it was this person, and then I never closed the loop on it. So what do I owe? I don't remember what I owe you for that.
I don't know that you even said. I just did it because I wanted him to, feel like someone listened and cared, and to give him a laugh. And then once he told you who it was, I figured you would get a kick out of it as well.
I did. That was awesome. Yes. He's like, hey, I got a call from this person today. I was like, yep, that tracks right there. You know what I'm saying? That's the number one fan of everything going on. Nice. Okay. And finally, thank you for staying along with me today. You know what I'm saying? I needed this in the middle of today. A lot going on. You know what I'm saying? But, sometimes you need to just, chop it up with somebody. So, last question is, as you well know, about your drop the mic catchphrase. So first, do you remember what your catchphrase was from the first time you were on the show?
If memory serves correctly, I believe it was in reference to Ted Lasso and staying curious. Because it was be curious, not judgmental, and I think that tied into the title of the episode as well.
Well, yeah, not to give it away, but oftentimes the title of the second episode is the drop the mic sign-off phrase that is coming at the end. So not that that's a spoiler alert or anything like that, but that always makes a good one. And yes, we did probably break a little copyright law and throw a little image of Ted Lasso looking over your shoulder on that art. So for your second time on, do you continue to stand by that phrase, or would you like to amend it?
At most, it would maybe stay curious and get connected. Getting connected is a huge part to add on to that. And I feel like that leans well into all the things that we're trying to do.
I love it. That is a great amended and goes to so many of the conversations and the things you're working on now. That's fantastic. So, Chris, thank you for being here. And as you know how the editing works, if you'd be so kind as to set me up with a closing saying who you are and what your drop the mic catchphrase is, that just saves me a little editing work.
I like it when you have to do more editing, though, Ryan.
But then it never gets done.
It gets done for next Wednesday. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do it?
Background noise coming in. Oh, what? My name and my drop the mic phrase?
Yeah.
This is Chris Kelly, your managing editor at Higher Ed AV Media. Stay curious and get connected.
Thank you for listening to the AV IT Amplifier. Join us again for next week's episode when we'll welcome a new guest who you'll want to hear from. We promise. Your host has been Ryan Gray. He's on the tweeters at Ryan_A_Gray, or find him on LinkedIn to connect. Please subscribe and give the show a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. Everyone hang in there, go easy, and we'll be back next week.